Have you ever walked into a room and suddenly felt the atmosphere shift? Maybe the laughter that seemed lighthearted turned into uneasy silence. Or someone who was bold a moment ago suddenly lowered their voice and avoided your eyes. My friend, that's not coincidence. That's the invisible reality of the spiritual fire God places inside His children. A fire that burns so strongly, even demons cannot stand in its presence. I want you to pause and ask yourself this: do you burn with that kind of holy fire? Or are you living a Christianity that makes no difference to the kingdom of darkness? Because there are believers who simply exist unnoticed, and then there are the burning ones, the ones who make hell nervous just by waking up in the morning, the ones who, without even speaking, shift the atmosphere. The question is, are you one of them? Before I reveal the first sign, let me encourage you, hit that like button, subscribe, and ring the bell, because in this message I will uncover 5 signs that prove you carry a spiritual fire that burns demons. And trust me, by the time we finish, you'll know exactly where you stand with God's flame. And if you're hungry for more, type in the comments, "Lord, set me on fire." That's going to be your declaration today. Let's begin. The very first sign that you carry the spiritual fire of God is this: darkness becomes uncomfortable in your presence. Have you ever noticed people stop gossiping when you walk into the room? Or that ungodly conversations suddenly shift when you join the circle? You didn't preach, you didn't quote scripture, yet something about you exposes the room. That's not you, it's the fire of God radiating from within you. John tells us in his letter, God is light, and in Him is no darkness at all. And when His fire dwells inside of you, that same light shines out. Demons don't debate with fire. Darkness doesn't negotiate with light. It simply flees. That's why sometimes you'll see people irritated with you for no reason. They criticize, gossip, even avoid you. Don't take it personally. The spirit in them is reacting to the spirit in you. Think of Jesus in the temple. He didn't politely ask the money changers to stop. His very presence, fueled by holy zeal, drove them out. That's what fire does. It confronts what is unholy without you even planning it. And here's where it gets real. Some of you are wondering why friends pull away, or why certain relatives are suddenly cold. Could it be the fire of God in you is making their compromise too uncomfortable? That's not rejection, my friend. It's confirmation. You're carrying the kind of flame that shakes atmospheres. But this is just the first sign, and I want to stir your anticipation, because the second sign is even more powerful. It reveals not just what happens when you walk into a room, but what happens when you open your mouth before heaven itself. Because the second sign of spiritual fire is this: your prayers produce unusual results. Think about it. James wrote, "The effectual, fervent prayer of a righteous man availeth much." That word fervent literally means boiling with heat. In other words, fiery prayers, prayers that burn with holy desperation, move heaven. And haven't you noticed? Some people pray and nothing changes. But when a burning one prays, chains break. When they intercede, breakthroughs come. They're not begging God like strangers. They're communing with Him like closest friends. That's what spiritual fire does. It transforms prayer from ritual into power. Let me pause and challenge you. If you've ever seen God answer a prayer in a way that left even you surprised, write in the comments right now, "My prayers carry fire." I want to know who among us has already tasted this truth. And don't miss this, because what happens next will shock many believers. The third sign of holy fire flips the perspective completely. It's not about what you do to the enemy, it's about how the enemy reacts to you. One sign that you carry spiritual fire is one most Christians don't want to hear, but it's absolutely true. You're constantly under spiritual attack. Now pause, think about it. Why would Satan waste his time attacking someone who poses no threat? Why would demons launch schemes against a believer who lives lukewarm, powerless, and unnoticed? They wouldn't. But when you burn with holy fire, your very existence disrupts the kingdom of darkness. Paul warned us in Ephesians, we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities, powers, rulers of the darkness of this world, and spiritual wickedness in high places. That means real war, not distant, not theoretical, personal, intense, ongoing. Maybe you've noticed seasons when every area of your life seemed under siege. Financial pressure, conflict in relationships, struggles with health, attacks in your mind. And you asked, Lord, why is this happening to me? But listen carefully. The attacks are not evidence that God has abandoned you. They are confirmation that you are carrying something hell fears. Think of it like this. The wind that tries to blow out a flame often makes it burn hotter. And spiritual fire works the same way. Attacks refine you. Opposition strengthens you. What was meant to crush you becomes fuel to your fire. That's why C.S. Lewis once noted that hardship often prepares an ordinary person for an extraordinary destiny. Demonic resistance is proof you're on the path to extraordinary impact. But here's the twist. One of the enemy's favorite weapons is isolation. He will whisper that you don't need anyone. He will push you to withdraw from your church, from mentors, from brothers and sisters in Christ. Why? Because even a small fire burns brighter in community, but a flame separated from the rest is easier to snuff out. Fire carriers must fight this tactic by staying connected. Now here's what makes this so encouraging. The more violent the attack, the closer your breakthrough. The more flames fight against you, the closer your breakthrough fire. Enemy strikes hardest right before you step into a new level of spiritual authority. So when you feel the war raging, don't give up. It means heaven is about to release something powerful through your life. But the fire doesn't just affect the unseen realm. It also affects how people respond to you in the natural. That leads us to the fourth unmistakable sign. People are either strongly drawn to you or strongly repelled. There's no middle ground with spiritual fire. When you carry the flame of God, people will feel something around you they cannot explain. Some will seek you out. They'll say, I feel peace when I'm around you, or I feel closer to God when we talk. These are the hungry ones. They recognize God's presence in you. But others will avoid you. They'll criticize you. They'll roll their eyes at your passion. Even family may say, you've changed. You're too extreme. Don't be shocked. Remember, Jesus himself said in Luke 12:51, do you think I came to bring peace on earth? No, I tell you, but division. The fire divides. It forces a choice. Some run toward it. Others run away. Think about how people reacted to Jesus. One moment they marveled at his words. The next they wanted to throw him off a cliff. Why? Because the fire of truth exposed the darkness in their hearts. If you've ever felt that same polarization around you, it's not your personality, it's the flame you carry. And I want you to write something bold in the comments right now. I will not dim my fire. Because the temptation will come to tone it down, to hide your zeal so people feel comfortable. But light doesn't exist to make darkness comfortable. It exists to drive darkness out. Even children and animals often sense it. They'll draw close because they feel the purity of God's Spirit in you. On the other hand, those dabbling in occult practices or living in rebellion might get uneasy in your presence. They may even lash out. Again, it's not about you. It's the Spirit within you. Confronting the Spirit in them. This is why relationships may change. Old friends fade away. Family misunderstandings rise. But don't confuse rejection with failure. It's confirmation. The fire in you is incompatible with compromise in them. But there's still one more sign, one that cannot be denied, and it's the most breathtaking of all. Because if the fire truly burns in you, the supernatural will not be a rare event. It will follow your life daily. And here we arrive at the fifth and most undeniable sign that you carry spiritual fire. Miracles and supernatural breakthroughs consistently follow your life. I'm not talking about the once-in-a-lifetime stories that you share for decades. I'm talking about a lifestyle where the supernatural becomes natural, where the extraordinary of God weaves itself into the ordinary of your daily walk. Jesus himself declared in Mark 16, "These signs shall follow them that believe. In my name they shall cast out devils. They shall speak with new tongues. They shall lay hands on the sick, and they shall recover." Notice, he didn't say these signs might follow or occasionally follow. He said shall. That's the normal life of those burning with his fire. When the flame of God lives inside you, miracles are not random. They are the overflow. Healing flows through your prayers. Provision comes in impossible situations. Doors open that no man could open. Relationships heal when they seemed beyond hope. Why? Because the fire you carry creates an atmosphere where heaven touches earth. I think of the words of C.S. Lewis here. He once wrote, "Miracles are a retelling in small letters of the very same story which is written across the whole world in letters too large for some of us to see." In other words, when fire burns in you, your life becomes a living retelling of God's great story. Each breakthrough, each answered prayer, each healing is a small echo of His eternal glory. But here's the key. Fire carriers don't chase miracles. They arrive. Chase God. And because they pursue Him with such intensity, the miraculous simply flows. It's not about ego, not about drawing attention, not about using God's gifts as props. It's about surrendering so fully that His power shines through without obstruction. Think of Peter in Acts. He was so ablaze with God's fire that people laid the sick in the streets, hoping even his shadow might touch them. That wasn't Peter's power. It was God's presence radiating through him. That's the kind of life the fire makes possible. But let me warn you, fire must be guarded. Just as a natural flame will die if neglected, so the fire of the Spirit can be quenched if you become careless. Pride can smother it. Compromise can dim it. Neglect of prayer can starve it. That's why Paul told Timothy, "Fan into flame the gift of God which is in you." The fire is a gift, but it is also a responsibility. And the world desperately needs the burning ones right now. We live in a time where many have grown lukewarm, where the faith of countless Christians is more ritual than reality. But God is calling forth a remnant, a generation of believers who burn so brightly that demons flee, atmospheres shift, and lives are transformed. So here's my question. Will you be one of them? Will you surrender everything and cry out for that holy baptism of fire that John the Baptist promised? Will you become the kind of believer that makes hell tremble and heaven rejoice? If that's your desire, I want you to write in the comments right now, "Lord, make me a burning one." Let that be your prayer, your declaration, your step of faith. And as you type those words, I want you to hear this truth deep in your soul. You were not created for mediocrity. You were not called to blend in with the lukewarm crowd. You were chosen to burn. You were destined to carry fire so intense that darkness flees at your presence and miracles flow like rivers around you. My friend, don't settle for less. Don't accept a Christianity without flame. Ask God tonight for a fresh baptism of fire. Fan it daily with prayer. Guard it with holiness. Feed it with His Word. And then watch as your life becomes a beacon of light in a world that is desperately waiting for the burning ones to arise. The fire of God is waiting for you. The question is not whether He is willing to give it. The question is, are you willing to receive it, protect it, and carry it into a world in desperate need of its heat? The choice is yours. Burn bright, burn holy, burn for Jesus.